back from the break, and we're talking about fat. And it's one of those things, it's not only unsightly, Tom. You know, that's what most people want to lose weight, is because of the unsightliness, the unattractiveness of it. But more than anything, you want to know the number one health implicated, I mean, almost implicated in every disease that we know of, is being overweight or over fat specifically. Me personally, I'm 230 pounds as a bodybuilder at 5'8". According to the BMI, body mass index, I'm obese. My body mass is obese. Well, they're going back now, I think, Tom, to more of a realistic thing of waist circumference versus height. That's the way I think it really should be in that matter. But let's talk about, at the break, we were talking about the metabolic rate, and we were talking about how these people with these crash fad diets are really destroying the metabolic rate. Talk about what happens whenever you all of a sudden cut your calories. The body's an adaptation machine. What signals do you send it when you say, oh, no more food? That you're sending a signal to the body that you're in starvation mode.
Well, you basically, I hate to pick on any certain diets, so we can kind of pick on all of them at the same time. So no matter what the diet is, you're going to reduce your caloric intake. Now, let's deviate just from that question just for a second, because your other alternative is to burn more calories.
Yes.
And then you could maintain your present set point, but you'll be burning more calories. So there's another alternative to this entire discussion.
Yes.
You could just do what you're doing and just change how much you're doing. And I think that's one of the biggest things that's happening to people. Because, number one, I know we're having a big drastic change in our life cycle. Because just think of one generation ago. Most of us actually, I hate to say this, worked for our job.
Yes, physically.
And now there's a company just north of town here, but anyway, most of the jobs they sit there, and of course it's stressful, and I know they're working very hard. But this is what their body does.
Yes.
Click, click, maybe a little numbers here and there. Click, click. Now, Todd, that does not burn very many calories. So
no.
If just think of how many calories you have to withdraw from that person to make them lose weight. To me, it's much more better opportunity to not only change their whole life, but to just make them a healthier person. So people, let's stop the insanity. There was some lady that made it.
Yes, that's Susan Power, wasn't it? Stop the insanity,
yeah.
Exactly.
But I'm a little different than her. I don't think you should exercise quite too hard.
No.
But the people there, instead of going home and resting, because they're mentally tired, I have them on their break time, and as they eat, I just have them go for walks. And instead of them having to worry about depriving themselves, they actually get to eat more food, because you know this as well as I do. The content of the food, it can be so different. Like to get 230 calories from broccoli or 230 calories from a little pat of butter, or do you want like 6 cups of broccoli? And what's the nutrition there?
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
And the thing I always remember is we don't have time, and I understand that. But you always have time to just wash off some vegetables or eat some fruit, eat some apples, eat something that's got a lot of fiber and bulk. Now you're actually cleaning your colon out, and you're losing your weight. You're getting energized. You're getting the minerals. But a lot of us are wanting to eat a little bar of zero or whatever it's called, because it's implying there's nothing in there, which there's not a whole lot, but you're almost like putting a toxin into the body, which then you're wanting it to hold water to like wall it off from the rest of your your cells.
And you can't, like the old saying goes, you can't fool Mother Nature. I mean,
No.
You take that empty calorie in,
Right.
the body's still going to slow the metabolic rate down. And let's say you do this deprivation, and we'll talk about the HCG diet here for a second.
Okay.
HCG, it's human chronic gonadotropin. It's basically what pregnant women produce off the front. That's how the test for pregnancy is women produce this. What they find, it's a hormone that actually helps in the fat burning process. But first of all, what's on the market today is not the pharmaceutical grade the stuff. It's a homeopathic, number one. And number two, folks, if you're eating 500 calories a day and that's your calorie intake, I don't care who you are or what you are, you're going to lose weight. But the problem exists here is that in the process, you're resetting your metabolic rate. So what I really believe is the best way to do it, and you have extremities on both sides, people restricting their calories, Tom, and then people doing an enormous amount of exercise. What you should do is reach a happy medium. What I always suggest my people to do, decrease their calorie need by 500 calories a day, roughly 500 calories, which doesn't trick the metabolic rate, which doesn't throw the metabolic rate into the survival mode where it shuts down, and then burn off another 500 calories through exercise. Total net 1,000 calories a day deficit. 3,500 calories equals a pound, okay? So in 1 week, there's your 2 pounds right there.
2 pounds.
Just by restricting that 500 calories, which is not a lot, and then in turn, of course, cleaning your diet up, all these other things. But doing the restriction of 500, not too much, that way it doesn't shut that metabolic rate down, and exercising that picks up. Not only are you burning that 500 calories during the exercise, but you're also setting the metabolic rate higher as well, which is another advantage to the exercise. So I don't believe that you can truly lose weight effectively long term without some type of exercise and without burning, because fat doesn't diet off, fat burns off. You have to burn the fat off. You can't diet it off. You try to diet it off and the body automatically shuts down and tries to slow, because that fat is almost a precious commodity to the body. The body says, oh no, we don't want to lose this. We may need it long term. So
there was a study done years ago, and they took people that fasted, then they took people that exercised and did a modified fast, and then they had people that just exercised. And you'll love this, Todd, because you love exercise.
Yeah.
But the people lost the most that fasted and did no exercise. The next people that lost quickest was they did exercise and they fasted. The people that lost the least were the exercisers. However, when they went back and evaluated those groups in 3 or 4 years, the only ones that had maintained the weight loss were the avid exercisers, because they were able to stay with that program. However, the people that fasted were unable to attain that fasting, because your body knows when it's starving, it's starving.
And it's going, once you snap, and I know this, Tom, and a great story from me at contest time, we get down to 3% body fat for bodybuilding. And the only thing you think about, you have a list of food fantasies, I mean, it's just fried chicken and ice cream and pizza and all these things. Once you start, let's say you've restricted your calories for 4 or 5 months, and you're going to eat, folks, I promise you, go on 500 calories a day for 4 months, you're going to snap. And what's going to happen, once you start eating, the body goes, hooray, hallelujah, and it starts trying to eat as much as it can and put everything back in the fat cells, because it thinks, okay, this idiot's probably going to do this again to me. So it wants to put it back in the fat cells, hold on to it, and that's why the example you used earlier in the show, the guy that lost the weight, put it right back on, and more. Plus, exactly. Why? Because he reset his metabolic rate to here, lower. And once he started eating again, it didn't take as many calories to get him back up to that point again, because he's destroyed his metabolic rate in the process. So we have to, folks, when you do anything with your health, and I really feel like that what hurts people, and Tom, I know you see this as well, people will get gung-ho, and you see these people all the time. Most of the people don't want to make change, but the ones that do, all of a sudden they just go head first into it, and they jump head first in the deep end, and they get way too gung-ho, and they shock the body too much, and then the body yo-yos again. So it's important to have that stability.
Well, I try to motivate my patients with the weight. So it's not just lose weight. It's like, so I give them something quantitatively. So 5 pounds of fat on their abdomen puts 15 pounds of load on their lower spine. Wow. 10 pounds of upper body weight puts 40 pounds per square inch pressure on their knees. So if they have any pain, Todd, that's a great motivator. If it hurts, you start thinking differently.
And what was that equation again on the fat, the belly fat? 4 pounds puts 15 pounds.
5 pounds puts 15.
15 stress on the body. Well, because of where it's hanging, right?
And I tell them it's a bowling ball. So I give them a visual. So it's like not only is it just 15 pounds because that's up in the air, but a bowl. Everybody's bowled once.
Yeah, and that's 8 to 10 pounds roughly. So you're right. It's hanging there.
It's just hanging,
and then it's in the worst spot because it's pulling you forward. That's the reason it's putting the stress on you, right?
Exactly.
Because it's pulling you forward, and that's where men, unfortunately, want to store that weight is right there in the belly fat, and why evolutionary you wouldn't want to put it on the arms and legs because you couldn't move as well. So that body fat reserve is in the middle, mainly for us to be able to continue to move around. And if you don't think you can with that much weight, look at the offensive linemen in the NFL. It's amazing that those guys can even get off the couch. If they've got a buffet at the end of it, I'm certain they can get off the couch. But these guys are massive as far as around the middle and girth, but they've got youth on their side. And of course, that's the reason they have long-term problems is because they are so big and they do have these problems now. Whenever they get 30, 35, they have some major problems. So these people who are young that are overweight, and you see them all the time, Tom, these younger kids, that's what we have to control. That's what we have to change the health, because they are setting themselves up at 8 and 9 and 10 years old. These parents are setting their kids up for failure long term, aren't they?
The life expectancy of an NFL player is 57 years.
57. And mainly not only because of the abuse that he's taken, but also because of the foods, all the things that he's done. And then in turn, you can't be 360 for very long. I tell people, you don't see many people that at 70 at 300 pounds, do you? Because they're all dead. And because there's no way the body can handle that as we age. As we age, folks, you have to do the right things nutritionally. You have to exercise, the right supplements. Again, find somebody to love you, get a dog, get a hug, all of those things. It's really simple when you look at it. And if you don't do these things, you can do all the supplements, and I'm a supplement salesman. I see people all the time taking handfuls and wads of supplements and thinking somehow that's going to help. Yes, there's a need for supplementation, but ultimately when it comes to diet and fat loss, I promise you folks, there's not a magic pill out there, and there never ever will be. I think Covert Bailey said it best, is that there is a magic diet pill that just takes 45 minutes a day to swallow. It's called exercise. And so, yes, there is a pill. It just takes 45 minutes a day to swallow.
I try to keep things so simple, and you know me, I give people something they can grab hold of. And some of the young people, the parents, I know if I restrict their little macaroni and cheeses or whatever, they're not going to hold that away from them. But what I can at least do is say, when Johnny's playing with the computer or watching TV, let's just eat in the kitchen. So if Johnny wants something to eat, he goes in the kitchen.
Good point.
And he has a measured amount, and so that's one thing. And my only other thing I have to do to him is, so what are they drinking? So I had a lady, I put her on a 500-calorie diet. I kept going lower and lower and lower because I was getting nowhere. And I finally said, "What are you drinking?" And she was drinking 2-liter Dr. Peppers a day. And I was like, "Oh, now I got it."
Ding.
So the first week she went without her soda, she lost 7 pounds. So I'm just saying. Mm-hmm. So the other thing I do is I say, please, let's just drink some water.
Yes.
For the adults, it's green tea, it's coffee, it's okay with me. And just changing just a couple of those things, it just starts falling off.
Oh, certainly. And then again, folks, keep in mind that a pop has 12 teaspoons per 12 ounces. So basically a teaspoon per ounce. If you were to weigh that, that's 3.5 ounces of sugar per pop. 4.5 of those gives you a pound a day. Do the math on that. I challenge anybody to try to eat a pound of sugar, dry. You couldn't do it. The funniest thing, before we go to a break here, I was giving a speech and was telling people, about diet pop and about regular pop and sweetened teas and all that. Guy raised his hand. He said, "You don't want us to drink diet pop. You don't want us to drink pop or tea. What do we drink?" I thought I was on candid camera. I thought, is this a trick question? It's called H2O, man. It's been the drink of choice from the very beginning, and it's something that all of your cells, folks, 75% of your cell is water. Your body is made of water. The way to health, first and foremost, is the water, and the way to weight loss, for that matter, is the water. And we'll come back and wrap the show up on weight loss. Give you a few more tips here on the right ways to lose fat, not weight, when we return. This is Understanding Your Health with Tom Butler. Todd Scarborough will be back. Hang on.